Well, everybody, hold on. I've got a second for me. Give me 1 second, and we're going to start the show. Okay, we're going to start with that. I'm Doc G, of course, and I have my friend Randie Oneil, who is a music artist and a wonderful person that is schooled in health in a lot of ways, mental health. Right. And I want to welcome her to our show. It's all in your head. This is actually a new show we're starting to do here.
Right. And I thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
And I love the concept because, mental health is just not something we talk about.
Nobody is doing anything like
this. And as soon as somebody, I'll be in a room and I'll throw something out and all of a sudden the whole room is like, oh, me too. If we would just talk about it, we'd give you so much further. So I was really glad for this show and providing my background. So what we're going to try to do on this show is introduce different topics of mental health, but we're going to go behind the scenes a little bit more than that. We're going to go and actually what's causing this. We're going to go into some biology a little bit. And I think if you understand what's happening in your body, you'll be able to understand the process a little bit more. And then we could talk about ways to head that off or to do things differently or how to rewire things, because you can rewire at any age. So, that's what I really wanted to do.
Well, Randie, before you do that, let me just say, we will be taking comments. I will be taking also your questions. We'll also be opening up the phone lines probably about 8:30 or a little bit later. I'll give you the phone number and you guys would be able to call in and either talk to Randie and, either tell her your problems or, again, this show is not designed to fix or help you in any way. It's here to understand what you're going through.
Right. And to start a dialogue.
Right.
If you don't talk about it, if you don't throw out the questions, it's just going to sit there. And that's not always a good thing. So this is about starting a dialogue. And again, we're going to be talking about the brain. I am not a neurobiologist, but I can point you in the right direction.
Right.
I could give you some behind the scenes, some basic understandings, and hopefully you'll take it from there. And be able to do things with it.
And this is worldwide. Anybody in the world, if you can speak our language, you can call in. But the thing is, this is also live on Smoke and Bacon Radio. I want to give a shout out to my good friend Wade Saxton over there. And we hope to see you on August the 5th. So, Randie, I'll leave it up to you, and I'll take care of the questions, and you take care of everything else.
Okay. Actually, as of last night or the Monday night, I actually rethought what I was going to do as my opening show. And what I thought I would do is start with Simone Biles.
Okay.
Because Simone Biles is a great example of something everyone goes through on some level, some type of anxiety. And there are a lot of people who hit that wall and know what it's like not to be able to go on. And people on the outside look like they're holding it together. On the inside, they're falling apart, and we fake it all the time. So I give Simone Biles so much credit for saying, I can't hurt myself. But what I wanted to do is go behind the scenes and I explain why that was the right decision to do. I want to go behind and look at her brain, like the chemistry, the reactions that she went through, that a lot of us are going through when we talk about being stressed out. And once we have that understanding, know why she had to take a step back and hopefully regroup by tonight. Tomorrow morning. Right now, it'd be Thursday morning when she goes into the all around. She may or may not. Mm-hmm. And it's all going to depend on some certain things. So what I wanted to do is just dial that back a little bit and just start with the brain. Okay.
Okay.
We really are not aware, unless you're really mindful of the chatter and the dialogues going around our brain. For example, how many of you have driven to work and don't remember getting there? Don't laugh. Yeah.
Many times.
There's that
Many
inner
times.
dialogue,
5:30,
and
6:30 in
you're
the morning.
driving, folks.
Yes.
You know, and I'm going to explain what's happening. All right. Did you ever, like, all of a sudden you text someone and you're like, oh my God, why did I do that? You are in another part of your brain. Okay. It's that thing you said in anger, the fight you had with your mother, your spouse, your sibling, you know, those things. Why does that get away from you? And are you doing that too much? Okay, if that's happening, I'm going to actually explain what's going on in your head.
Okay.
How about this? When people eat, I'm like, oh, I'm craving this. I'm stressed out. I'm going to eat this. And you don't remember eating it. So you're like, well, now you want some more potato chips. And now you're eating the whole bag and it's just not doing it, you know, because you're not remembering, you're not even conscious. You're not even staying mindful in that moment. It's that inner chatter that's going on. And how about trying to sleep with that chatter going on? How many of us have stared at that damn ceiling, you know, and there's actually a process of the brain. It's almost the same process for all of this.
Right.
Do you ever get klutzy and just bump into things, knock things over?
Yeah, a lot of times.
And you ever get a bruise and you don't even remember where it
Yes.
Hello, folks. Your mind is going. And there are times when it's a monkey mind. There's so much going on. You know, your working memory, you know, you're going into a room, you don't remember why. That's working memory. It's out the window. Okay.
Okay.
So these are all things that are showing me that there's a part of your brain that's really, really active. Okay. Now, all these messages are actually supposed to be keeping us safe. Okay. So let me go to my slide. I know a lot of you are on radio, so I'm going to explain my slides. But if you are on the internet, there's some visuals that I'm going to throw up with it that
this will be on YouTube later on as well. Right now it's on Facebook. It's on the Hamilton Radio Facebook. It's on the Radio TV Facebook. And it's on a couple other Facebooks. So people will be able to hear and see it. Mm-hmm.
All right. Are we sharing?
We are sharing. Yep.
All righty. Okay. Basically, it is really all in your head. Almost everything that goes on is because of this chatter for some ways. Now, there's some biological stuff, you know, some organic things that go on, but they usually start in your head and affect your body. All right. So we're going to be focusing on some anxiety. And what I'm trying to do is show you that life is tough, but with letting this chatter go on unchecked, we're making life a lot harder than it really needs to be. All right. We're putting ourselves in this stress, fight or flight response, and it doesn't really need to be there. But it comes from this need to be safe and in control. Right? That's what that autopilot is supposed to be doing. So let's take a look at the brain real quick. This front part is right above your eyes is a prefrontal cortex. That is supposed to be your decision-making part of the brain. That's the part that says, this is a good idea. I'm going to logically think this out. If I learn a song, I'm learning it in my cortex. Now, let's suppose I learn a song and all of a sudden the lights go on, Randie's on, and I can't remember the first line of my song. Well, what happened is I got nervous. And what happens when you send a signal to the amygdala is going to take over. Now, the amygdala is right behind the eyes, in between the ears, this little organ. Okay? And once that happens, things are going to change because the amygdala is part of the limbic system. This is the feeling part of your brain. This is the security guard. Right. I'm going to keep you safe, right? And if you send it a signal, oh my God, I'm in a stage. Am I going to be terrible? The amygdala takes over and says, I'm going to fix this for you. But what happens, it blocks your prefrontal cortex. But I learned the song in my prefrontal cortex. I'm no longer accessing the prefrontal cortex. I can't remember the first line of the song. I am in amygdala hijack. I am no longer accessing the problem-solving part of my brain. I'm all emotional. Oh my God. So, kids are doing their homework. Mom comes in. Are you done with your homework? And the kid's like, their amygdala took over. The problem is the amygdala can't tell if this is a true emergency. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you see a dog, right? And when you're a little kid and you're like, oh my God, this dog is going to eat me. The amygdala is going to come in and go, I got this. We're getting out of here. And I'm going to protect you. Hippocampus goes, oh, that's awesome. I'm going to remember that. So next time you see a dog, the amygdala sees a German Shepherd instead of a little puppy,
from the stored memory that you had, right? Wow.
Right. It's stored memory. So memories like that can get trapped. And every time you send a signal, you're allowing your amygdala to hijack. Now let's go back to Simone Biles, right? She's training with her prefrontal cortex. She's calm, cool, collective, but the pressure is building. Cameras are on her 24 hours a day. She gets done with her routine. The cameras follow her as she's getting dressed and getting ready and getting taped and getting this and that. And the enormous pressure. Now, as the day comes, what's her message that she keeps saying? Oh my God, am I going to live up to the hype? Am I going to live up to the hype? If you go on the balance beam or floor exercising where you're supposed to be flipping around, you learn that routine in the cortex, right? But she's not. She's panicking. She's getting these messages that are saying, oh my God, I can't do this. I don't know. Suppose I fail. Now her amygdala has taken over. She's no longer thinking in the air. She's no longer using that muscle memory. She can get really, really hurt because she's in panic mode. She's not even thinking with the part of the brain she learned her routines. When you go to sleep, if your mind is going, what am I going to do tomorrow? Am I going to get this done? I have so much to do. What's happening is you're allowing the amygdala to take over and your blood pressure goes up, right? Do I have that slide? Well, it doesn't matter.
Is that part of the fight and flight?
That's exactly it.
Okay.
When you're stressed, you're in flight or flight. Your amygdala is saying, what are we going to do? I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to help you through it, or we're going to freeze. Right? And we have these ingrained responses. We have these channels. And like I said, the amygdala can't say, hey, you've done this routine 17 times. You don't need me. It doesn't. It says, I got a signal. I'm running with it. Your blood pressure goes up. Your heart rate goes up. Perspiration. Your muscles are engorged with blood. They're ready for action. Your digestion stops. That's why you can get like the dry mouth, and your muscles are going to contract. Where are you feeling your tension, everyone? Where do you put your tension? I'm big on the shoulders and stomach. Sometimes my jaw. Some people's hands will tingle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or their back will start to hurt. When it gets really going, you can almost feel like you're having a heart attack.
So the emotions play a part in sometimes the pain in your body.
Absolutely. Because you're so stressed all the time. It's so hard on your heart rate, your blood, because your vessels actually expand for more blood. You keep doing this over and over, and you're going to have a lot of these, stress-related illnesses, stomach aches, headaches, muscle fatigue. Again, you bump into things. You might actually trip and fall, again, because our thoughts, your limbic system is in control. And you now have a channel that's set up to be an alarm state. And again, we let these thoughts go. We don't say, is this true? Is it not true? You know, we kind of let our minds go. And I have to tell you guys, how many times are you sending a good message to yourself? You know, even Simone Biles, the best gymnast in the world, couldn't say, I'm the best. She couldn't. It was gone. And she made the right decision because she could have gotten really hurt in that state to do the kind of tricks that she does. It was the right call. She wasn't in the right frame of mind. She wasn't in the right part of her brain. Okay. And we do this almost all day on a different level. Now, I've had panic attacks. I've been there. I've been to that wall. And I think a lot of us have. But we allow this to go on. We allow our brain to beat ourselves up. These thoughts, these negative thoughts all the time. We don't stop and say, how realistic is this? Is this really going to happen? You know, we don't question the thoughts. We just let them go unchecked. And it keeps putting us into this alarm state.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, and this is designed to keep us safe. Let's face it, you're out in the wild, you know, or you're out walking and behind a bush is a snake. This system is meant to get you out of there and keep you safe. But we let it go. We're adding so much to it and making our day so much harder. So let me stop there and just, you know, kind of backtrack and talk about this a little bit and what it means to, you know, everyone's lives. And then we'll get to a little bit more of what it means for people. I mean, is this something that I know it's something I can relate to? And it made a whole lot of sense when I finally sat back and studied it. You know, how much does a glass of water weigh?
Just a few ounces, I guess. And
yeah, whatever. So if you hold a glass of water, it's not heavy, right? But
right.
If you hold it for 30 minutes, it's heavy. If you hold it all day, your arm is going to fall off, right? That's stress. If you don't find a way to change that channel, send yourself better messages, stop engaging that amygdala, you take a toll on your body because it's constantly engaged.
Very true.
You know, and even someone as well schooled as Simone Biles hit that wall. And that's why I think it was her best decision to kind of, you know, say, this isn't safe. And people, I was on Facebook today and somebody's like, oh, she wasn't having fun. That's why she went. They don't understand. And I think that's really ignorant answer, actually. It was taken totally out of context.
Yeah, you think that's a lot of that's reactionary too, because, you know, people, when they react to whatever person has a problem or whatever, their reactions also cause another reaction to the person that actually had the problem.
Right. And then that's the case here. And that's unfortunate. The whole team was impacted and had to step up. You know, they weren't even warmed up for certain events. But to their credit and training, they were able to kind of stay in the zone, stay with their cortex, and just muscle memory. This is my routine. Simone Biles wasn't able to do that. She was not able to access where her routines were.
Right.
She did one trick and she was lost, and you could see it in the air. You know, she was too panicked to access where her routine was.
You think there was something that she could have did to overcome it before she got really scared?
I think if she would have, this is again, hindsight's 2020.
Right.
If she would have maybe on the way over said, look, I'm starting to panic. And this is what people need to do. you need to check in with yourself, right? I'm to the point where if I feel myself tensing up, if I feel myself getting like that panicky feeling, I need to take a step back and do some self-care, and I'll talk about that in a little while of things you can do to get out of this channel. But she's like, I'm gonna be brave. I'm gonna be brave. I'm doing it for the team. I'm doing it to the team, until she got to the point where it was the point of no return.
Right.
Once she got there to the event, it was too late. And even when I'm on stage and it's a big show and I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself, I have to at that moment say, get over myself, make myself laugh. And I've started a song and I've stopped and I've go, okay, I Walk Alone and it sounds nothing like that. Boom, I'm going to reset, take a breath, and wait for my cortex to kick in.
Right.
And I can play. And it takes some practice.
So anything like this you can overcome. It's just that we have to know what we're dealing with first, people, and then learn to try to find a go around. Is that right, Randie?
That is absolutely the point. We are creating a lot of this. And I know Simone knows that she was putting all this pressure on herself. She couldn't stop it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like this. You're walking along, there's a bush. You're like, oh my God, there's a snake. You realize, no, that wasn't a snake, it's a stick. But how long does it take your body to recover from that? Your heart rate's up. It takes about 20 minutes till you go back to baseline. Now, she's been ramped up for a couple of days, and this is building. Not going to go away in 20 minutes, in the time that she needed.
And the funny thing is, and not to be funny about this, but the funny thing is, most people would run away from the stick, thinking it's a snake.
Right.
Not even worried about finding out, just running away. It's like,
right.
That's that.
Because the amygdala doesn't question.
Right.
And you almost have to learn, like, as a crisis counselor, to take that deep breath and really focus on staying in my cortex. I can't get emotional with my kids. I'm not helpful with them. I'm going to sit there and cry with them.
Right.
Right. When I do these anxiety sessions, if I'm changing their channel, we have to work through their anxiety, and you have to stay calm. You can't get emotional with your clients. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I ask people, people in the audience, go through your day and you can almost pinpoint the minute you went from cortex to amygdala in like half a second. When did that fight start with your spouse? Or even songs, when you listen to music, it's an emotional response. You're actually amygdala, you're dancing around, So it can actually be a good response. Anxiety, stress, it can be rewarding. Go, oh, that really worked. Football players use anxiety to get them onto the field to go into battle. They learn to channel it. But again, they kind of stay with their cortex on that too. Muscle memory on getting them through and playing with the team, But from day to day, think about how much of your day are you spent letting your mind kind of go. And we're never our own best friends with this stuff. If we said stuff to our best friend that we go through our minds, I wouldn't have any friends. I mean, how nasty can you get in your own head? Like, oh, you're so stupid. I can't believe you did that.
But see, that's a trigger response. I mean, I'm guilty of that many times because you know why? I heard a pattern when my dad used to say it all the time.
Uh-huh.
So then I built that up in my mind. That's what I used to say to my daughters. I didn't mean it, but it was a triggered response.
Oh, yeah. I had an alcoholic stepfather, and he'd be drunk saying dribble. And, calling me names. Oh, I was a whore. I was this and that. And sometimes I'm like, I'm 8 years old. Like, what do I know? You start to believe it.
Right.
And it becomes your inner dialogue, and it's adding to this stress. That's why trauma, ingrained is such a factor because, you have these kids who are traumatized, right? Like I was in a war zone at home and I came into school and they're like, oh, what are we going to do about Randie? She can't sit still, And it's like, history doesn't matter much to me now. Folks.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm trying to get there, but it's not. And it's hard because we do expect that of kids.
We have one question if you want to answer it.
This is an excellent question.
Can you read that?
What happens with the brain when we meditate? How does it slow the overthinking? And I'll tell you what it does. Take a deep breath. We just told the amygdala to stand down. Folks, that's why meditation works. I didn't meditate until somebody told me why it worked. I am sending a signal to that amygdala. I got this. I'm calm. I'm breathing slowly. And it's a tricky thing. And Gene, you and I talked about this last time.
Right.
When that amygdala, like if somebody would have said, Simone, let's meditate, she probably would have punched him in the face, and I don't blame her, because it's gone. You already need to work through it.
Right.
Go run around the block, go hit a punching bag, go in the shower and scream, let it come back to baseline. But if you feel yourself tensing up, there are some really nice meditations, yoga, some way to tell your amygdala you're okay. And it can be as simple as a deep breath. I have learned not to fight with people, like when they're screaming. If they're all amygdala, I've learned to back up and say, come back when we can talk cortex to cortex. That's really what I'm doing. I don't say that during a session or when I'm fighting.
Like, what is that?
Oh, I know. I've had my emotional outbursts, and I'm like, yeah, you're hearing my amygdala now. Deal with it right now, because that's what I'm thinking. So there it is. You have those moments. We're human.
So we can actually temper the amygdala by controlling the breathing, which actually every time something like that happens, it'll make us better people, right?
It has to be a deep sympathetic breath.
Right. Just can't be
like, taking nice. This is a good one. It's a simple count. It's breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, relax, and let your shoulders go, let your stomach go, and sink into your chair. You have to let go of muscles, and that's what the mindfulness does. It's telling your amygdala. So the self-talk is sending the signals, firing up the amygdala.
Mm-hmm.
Once it gets going, we need to calm that down. But I think a lot of this has to go with how kind we are to ourselves or not to ourselves.
Right.
I was a world-class, perfectionist. Like nothing I did was ever good enough. I would go to the gym, hour and a half, 3 miles a day. And one day I woke up and I just flat out got tired of not being good enough.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't be good enough at 3 hours, 3 miles, and an hour and a half in the gym, then this is it. Take it for what it is. But it was my own inner dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And I let it go. I work out, I eat healthy, but it's a much different routine.
Well, now I was going to ask you, what is the amygdala? What does that, as far as food, how do we feed the good part and leave the amygdala just to stand down? Is there a way to do that?
With food?
I don't know.
You know what?
Because you said you have
let me go. There's two sides to this. There are people who use food for comfort. It's never a good place to be, because how much food is comfort? Because now that you're done with your Hershey Kisses, which is my guilty pleasure, and now that old anxiety is still there. You didn't do anything.
Right.
So you really have to go deeper than that and say, what message am I sending myself? Am I causing myself to doubt? Am I, sending mechanisms I would have, should have, could have, that we send all the time. If we don't have that, we're not going to trigger the amygdala. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right? So it's an inner dialogue that gets this beast going. And you know what? I had a really efficient amygdala. Can I tell you that? they got triggered, and that was it.
Well, now here's the thing. How did you get yours under control? Was it within a matter of a couple minutes? Was it a matter of a couple weeks, the pattern, or a month?
As I studied more and more, through my counseling practice, if I studied more and more, the more I understood about the brain and the biology of behavior, which is what we're talking about, the easier it was for me to understand my own patterns, the unhealthy ones that I'd gotten into.
Right. And I think that's what we all want to be aware of, what we're dealing with, but we don't know. And this is why we're doing this show, so people can become aware of what they are working with themselves, so they can deal with it and maybe, repair it or at least try to fix it in some way.
I don't expect everyone to go away and say, I'm going to meditate and be fine. I want to draw awareness to your own inner dialogue. Right. I want you to be aware of where you're putting that stress. If you stop quietly for a minute, where do you feel it? In your chest, is it hands? Do you tingle? Again, and then you got to dig a little deeper and go, where's that coming from? You have an outer dialogue, and then you got this little voice in the back of your head that just won't shut up. And until you start challenging that voice and going, that's not accurate. That's my dad talking, and he's gone. I got rid of him a long time ago. And again, it was a process. And just one day I realized that it wasn't there. That need to be better all the time just wasn't there. And once you do that, you can be more creative. Your creativity sits in your cortex, right? So if you want to write a song or, do different things, your creativity, you're not accessing it when you're emotional all the time. Why did so many artists not write during COVID? Because it was stressful.
Right.
You can't write like that.
You're right.
You want to use the cortex to access memories and feelings, but you want to stay in the cortex to write.
Well, I just want to say real quick, we're taking phone calls. If anybody wants to call in, you can comment below as well. It's
some good questions coming in.
Yeah, it's 609-331-9074. If it's out of the country, it's 1-609-331-9074. I'll also put it here for you guys, so you have it here as well. And we'll go back to the comments, see if anybody else comments. But I'm super excited about this show. I mean, it's everything that I expected it to be and more, because you're putting in the details, and you're putting into place a lot of the questions that we have as people. How do we overcome this? How do we overcome OCD? How do we overcome ADD? How do we deal with the problems? And what I find out, Randie, is everybody has some type of baggage, some type of issue from whatever their parents told them, like with me, and same with my wife. And just it carries on even after the person, like you said, passed away. But if you don't take care of that problem, it just keeps festering and festering and festering, and develops into something that person doesn't want.
Right. And that's so true. And we don't talk about it.
Well, nobody knows what to talk about.
Right. So again,
everybody, listen, and I know, if you look in the entertainment industry, nobody wants to come out and say they've got this problem. Look at Robin Williams. He never wanted to say he had that problem. So that problem killed him and destroyed him.
Right, because he's supposed to be the funny guy, right? He's the funny guy.
Yeah, he doesn't have any problems.
Shows you, again, the inner demons that he had, that self-doubt.
Right.
So I can't make him laugh anymore.
Yep.
And it's stuff from his parents. And, he had some. And then if you add an organic disorder, like a bipolar, all right, you still need the meditation and stuff, but it gets a lot more complicated. Medication. Right. And this is another interesting thing which most people don't know. Antidepressants are really not antidepressants. Did you know that? They're really anti-anxiety. They will actually do more to support an anti-anxiety response than depression.
Right.
We know more about the anxiety response than we do about depression, which is really interesting. But we label things. I guess we're more sympathetic to someone who's depressed. Oh, you're going through a hard time. When anxiety could be, again, that negativity that we carry. It's just manifesting in different ways.
Right. Right. And of course, in the older generations, didn't know how to deal with depression. And either people got more depressed or, like my mom suffered from domestic abuse with my dad.
Right. And alcohol and a lot of other nasty domestic violence.
Right.
And I think we're more aware of it, but I don't know that we're doing so much to stop it. We're really not hitting the mechanism that's creating it.
Awareness is the key to get to the point to find out at least what the problem is. Once you find out the problem, then there's, like I said, there are workarounds, but you have to be willing to find the workarounds and be willing to work with them.
Right.
A lot of people don't want to.
Right. And it's hard.
They don't want to face their fears too.
And it's hard, because I use music as therapy. But if you listen to some of my songs, I have to get up there and sing that over and over.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask you. When you go on the stage, your stage presence, I've asked this from a lot of performers because I know when I speak in front of a crowd, whether it's 5 people or 150 people or 300 people or 500,000 people, you have that jitter. But once you start speaking and you realize you have this, you don't have it anymore. You're more relaxed state. Now, does that happen to you as well?
Yeah. And again, what's that process? You're like, oh my God, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be okay? Yeah. You start and you're like, I'm fine. Boom, you're back in the cortex. It went that fast.
So if we can stay in the cortex 90% of the time, most of the problem will be gone, but we can't get that security guard away.
Right. Right. The amygdala. And he's pretty efficient, that damn bouncer, and we get channeled. Like I showed you with the German Shepherd, we get conditioned.
Right.
Because the hippocampus has a memory part to this. I used to have flashbacks from my stepfather. One of them used to be dental floss, okay? Because he did this thing with dental floss. I'm not going there. But I was so conditioned that this fear response when I saw like dental floss, and I would have these massive flashbacks. And again, that's the fear that my amygdala taking over. And I was in a different state at that point.
Right. Right.
And I had to really change that channel to, he can't hurt me anymore.
And the other thing with this is it's not that we're asking for sorrow for people. We're not asking them to feel sorry for us. We're just realizing what our problems are. And we're trying to tell them, well, if you have problems as well, this is your time to understand what your problems are and try to find out what they are if you can't find them.
Right.
And I think that's part of more awareness. But the more aware we become, the more we can deal with the situation.
And it's hard with adolescents, right?
Yeah.
That's
you need a guide. You need some guide.
Bonding with their peers, right? Everyone wants to fit in. And, so one kid's picking on them for being different. And it's such a big thing. I'm so independent. But anyone who looks different gets picked on. It doesn't even make sense, adolescents. But you tell them it's going to be okay in a few years. They don't care.
Because they're experiencing it now.
They're experiencing it right now. And every time they go to the playground, they're going to panic. Right. It's now this conditioned response.
Well, I had that trigger response being bullied. I didn't, I used to, God forbid, but I used to feel so bad that I didn't even want to go out in the playground because I knew what was going to happen. It happened all the time. And it was the response that I had to pretty much give, but I gave up a lot of my life that I wanted to do certain things. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. And then it even got worse as I got older, younger in between teenage and older, because if I saw anybody anywhere, that trigger happened again. And I didn't want to go near him. I even told my wife, I said, I really don't want to go over there. That guy's over there. She said, well, who is that? That's a bully.
Yep.
He's got a wife and kids now too, but my brain doesn't remember that. Remembers what happened with, like you said.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I wrote a song about, I got a notice for my high school reunion and I just flash back and I'm like, nobody knew my secrets at home. Nobody knew who I was. What the hell am I going back for? And I wrote the song, I'm Not That Girl. And again, how long we carry that, how entrenched that channel, it's a default mechanism now in your brain.
Right. Right.
And now that the process, we have to challenge that. Like you start to feel that panic. There's a playground. It's not the same playground. This is going to be fun. We have to change that channel. Take a deep breath and challenge the thoughts going through your head. And I know it's not easy. I know that, but you have to find different things to work for you, different ways to take that break from what's going on. And if you have a panic attack or, you get anxious or, send a text, hopefully you didn't reply all. But if you did, at least go back and go, this is what happened. I want to monitor this a little bit. I want to be a little bit more mindful the next time.
Right.
And,
right.
You have to find things that you like to do. Changing that channel does not have to be labor intensive. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't need a Bosch gym. You need to know what you like to do. What's on your bucket list?
Right.
During COVID, I said, this is not going to end me. I'm going to release my album anyway. Every week, I went on Facebook and did something new. I did the stupidest thing.
Right.
And I tried knitting. I was god awful. I couldn't stop laughing how bad I was at knitting. I watched the British baking show, and every week I took a recipe.
That's good. That's good.
And I can make puff pie pastry. Thank you very much.
That's good.
It could be that simple. You
don't know where you've gone until you try it. You're right. And
right.
We said that. I said that years ago with different things. That's why I explore every aspect of everything that I ever wanted to do right now, because this is my time. And who knows how long it's going to be. But the point is, it's my time, and I want to do what I want to do.
If you have to take a Klondike bar into a bathroom and take a bath, that's your time. Breathe. Breathe. And that's what it's about. It's stopping that mind from churning, getting off that treadmill and calming the amygdala down.
So breathing is the best way to do that.
It's the simplest. Doesn't cost you anything, but
right. But is there other ways? That's what I was going to say. Is there any other ways?
There's tons of ways.
Or the meditation.
There's literally
stuff like that.
They're literally take a walk around the block, listen to music, take breaks from what you're doing. When I work with my adolescents, if you're just frustrated with a math problem, take a break, have a snack, come back. Now, if you take a break and you're playing video games for 3 hours, you're still in flight mode, right? You're avoiding.
You're escaping. Yeah, exactly.
You have to watch that. It's very tricky because it's fight, flight, or freeze. Right. And if you're fleeing a situation, that's a little different because the anxiety is going to be there when you get back. You haven't changed the channel.
Well, fleeing a situation could also be a good thing if it depends on what the situation
is. Exactly. Again, if you're avoiding something, then a problem, let's say, you have to find a way to address it.
Yeah, but does that avoidance also play a part in your future endeavors of what you do in life?
Well, I think that goes into the category of pick your battles.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you do need to take a break so you don't say something you're not going to regret.
Yeah.
Maybe this is not a battle you can win. You have to be really realistic about things. I tell kids this all the time with their parents. You got to pick battles.
Don't be, and I try to tell my wife this too, I don't like to be confrontational with anybody, even my daughters. I'll walk away, diffuse the situation, or breathe, or just, I'll be back later. We'll talk about it. But if it's something I don't agree with, I'm not that headstrong person that says, "Wait, it's got to be this way." It's that. I want to hear their side. I want to appreciate what they're talking about. I want to see what side that they're seeing that I don't see, and I want them to show me that.
That's cortex to cortex.
Right. So that's the way we should be, but the average person doesn't allow that, and they're headstrong, and that's the way.
Well, you know what? People have different styles, right? You have a man and a wife, let's say, and the wife is trying to make a point, and the husband's getting angry. At that point, his amygdala is engaged, and he's like, I need to back off right now, because he knows he's gone. But the wife wants to resolve the conflict.
Right.
And now you have an issue. Right? Probably right at this point, your amygdala, and nothing good is coming of this. Both of you need to take a break and come back when you're rational. Because otherwise, if one person's in the cortex and one person is totally emotional and, anger is part of that amygdala response. They want to fight. Boom. He's going to get angry. He wants to let him take a break and come back. You'll resolve it later rather than saying things now that you don't mean and can't take them back. So
I think that's a trigger response as well. Yeah, it's a trigger response again, but it's also reactionary to what the person has done and said, and how you react to that, of course, is going to trigger their response. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree. Many times in the past, I've seen people get angry and yell and throw things. And if I had known that, I would have told him, hey, just go take a break for a little bit and talk. I didn't know that. So now I have some tools I didn't know.
Right.
And that's what this is about. People, if you want to call in, it's 609. What is it? 609-331-9074. We're going to be here till about 9 o'clock. This is a first show, so I hope you share this and, send it everywhere because people need to know this stuff. But
yeah,
we got some great shows coming up, don't we?
Right. And I do have some topics that I want to talk to about.
You still got time.
Yeah, I'm going. No, but I'm saying if you want to throw out topics that maybe you'd like to hear more information about and start a dialogue, throw them out there. Greetings from Venezuela. Ricardo.
My buddy, Ricardo, he is also a musician and a friend of mine. I've known Ricardo probably for many, many years. And he's a good guy. So, hi, Ricardo. Nice to see you, Lord Kirch. Absolutely. A couple other people out there saying things, but now you guys can call in if you want. Please mention other things because our shows are going to be, hopefully every 2 weeks, but we can do them once a month, depending on Randie's schedule. I pretty much have an open schedule on Wendy's. And I don't have a problem with sometimes we might use it for something else, but we're going to be open to a lot of different subjects and a lot of topics on mental health. And I think this is the place to talk about that stuff.
So this is where I want to go next. This is the fight or flight, and it's supposed to keep you safe, right?
Right.
And it's a good thing that we keep safe. Right? We cross the street. Sometimes we misjudge. We need that amygdala. Right. Good job. Keep us safe. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're to the point where you're being engaged, let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
If you had no anxiety, how would your life be different?
No anxiety?
Right. Would you be doing something different? Would you be in a different place? What would your day, if you had that magic wand, would you be significantly different?
Oh, yeah, I think I would in a lot of ways because I think I always think about where I'm going to go next. And I think without anxiety, I would just do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be honest with you. I would just do it.
And that's a good question to kind of, wind up our discussion with, because if you ask yourself, what would my life be without the anxiety? And you see yourself doing different things, talking to different people, trying new things, then you really need to start addressing your anxiety because it's shutting you down. You're losing motivation. You're not feeling good about yourself. Then your inner dialogue, you start beating yourself up. And now you're really stuck on this treadmill instead of saying, you know what? Now I understand what's happening and I want to take steps to stop it. And sometimes it could mean talking to somebody professional. Sometimes you could hash it out with a friend you trust. Come on, a friend that's not going to yes you to death, someone who's going to challenge you.
Right.
Sometimes it's joining a yoga studio or someone who could help you get out of, that phase. Like for me, I had to stop the gym. That gym to me said I'm not good enough. I knew that was toxic for me. Some people thrive there and they feel better about themselves. I wasn't. I knew that.
So don't feel bad if you try something like that and you can't do it because it just may not be in you.
Right.
There's a certain person
that knitting calms people down. Knitting was pissing me off. I can't do it. I can't crochet. I can't do it. That's okay. I can write a song. There you go. So, but it's all about exploring, being not afraid to fail.
Right.
You know, and getting outside of your comfort zone until you find something that you really like to do. There's a guy down the street. His name is Randie. He discovered his passion for making ice cream, and I am so glad that he did.
That's really cool. Yeah. Now, does he make his, like, I mean, it's all homemade, right?
All homemade. He opened up a shop a couple months during COVID, and
Nice.
the funkiest flavors like honey lavender, and he found his passion. He's making ice cream, and to my joy, go Randie, go. So
Beautiful.
it's again that simple. You know, we just have to fight our demons sometimes and pick our battles with ourselves. Again, if you said stuff to your best friend like you say to yourself, you can't. Yeah. Why aren't we our best friends? I'm giving you permission to be your own best friend. Be kinder to yourself. You know. And I've been working with anxiety for many years. I've been running anxiety groups for, I don't know, 15, 20 years now.
Right.
And I'm going to start mentoring musicians with my sessions. I think I talked to you about that.
Right.
So, it's real. So this is my defense of Simone Biles. I mean, if you've been there and you've hit that wall, you understand. If not, you're an egghead on Facebook and, be nice, be kind.
Absolutely. Always be kind, because you never know who's going through whatever they're going through.
Everyone's going through something. Everyone has a story, So.
And we're all human beings, and it's nice, just to be kind, but it's also nice to be compassionate and understand the other person's story too. Not that your story means any less, but their story may at this time may be a little bit more might be required from other people to listen to it. So you have to kind of take a back seat a little bit. I don't mind doing that ever.
Right. Do you guys want to try a mindfulness activity?
Sure.
Let's go back. I hope there's sound. Oh, am I still sharing?
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me put you back.
Oh, wait, that's me. That's my fault.
No, okay. Back.
This is probably one of my favorite mindfulness activities, and it uses a balloon. So if you could think of this balloon as your thoughts,
go ahead.
It's a great exercise for reeling in when your mind is really, really kind of going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear that?
A little bit. Might need to turn it up a little bit more.
I don't know how to do that.
I know.
Let me go back here.
We're both learning the software with the things, and it's crazy.
There's no way to turn up my microphone.
No.
Wait a minute. I lie. Ha. Go me. Here we go.
Go ahead.
This exercise will teach you how to gain control of your stressful energy when it gets too high to handle. Close your eyes, listen, and follow along. Or keep your eyes open and follow along that way. It's up to you. Sit tall. You can be on the ground with your legs crossed, or in your chair with your feet flat on the floor. Now imagine that you can look up and see the sky. And up in the sky, way up in the sky, is a balloon. If you'd like, you can choose a color for your balloon. Keep the picture of the balloon in your mind. The balloon's string reaches all the way down to your hands. Hold on to the string. Imagine that you can feel the pull of that big balloon. Imagine that the wind pushes it from side to side. Or imagine that the wind actually tries to pull the balloon higher into the sky. Maybe you can feel the gentle tugging of the string in your hands. Now try to bring your balloon down. Be careful to go slowly. You don't want the fragile string to break from pulling too hard or too quickly. Take your time. Imagine that you can gently pull the string, hand over hand. The string collects in a pile at your feet. Hand over hand, pull after gentle pull. The balloon appears to come closer. It might even become easier to bring it down in your mind as it gets closer to you. Keep bringing it down, closer and closer. Some other strings might be longer or shorter than yours, and that's okay. Just bring it down at your speed. Focus on your balloon. Keep bringing it down. Your colorful balloon may now be within your reach. Pretend that you do not need to use the string anymore. You can actually hold the balloon between your hands. Notice if you can feel the balloon in your hands. Be gentle. Imagine that with your next out-breath, you can open your hands and release your balloon. Let it go. Notice in your mind where it goes. It could be different for everyone. Just remain still for a few more moments and watch your balloon drift away.
Okay, that was pretty good.
That's my favorite. I use that. Okay, now turn it off. But I use that one with all my kids. And I use it when I start to really stress out. You know, again, my thoughts are in the wind.
Right.
Bring it down, you know. And it when you're breathing, you're like, okay, take a deep breath. But this is actually a little bit more action involved.
Mhm.
It's a little bit more involved as you pull the string down. You're holding the balloon. So it gives you a little bit more space to actually bring down your thoughts, your breathing, and everything. So I was really psyched when I found that one.
Really, really cool. Very, very nice.
Yeah, I think if you, I found that I think on YouTube, the balloon meditation or go with the flow or something like that.
Okay.
You'll find it. There's so many on YouTube. Find a voice you like. Find an exercise you like. A length, start slow, and kind of build up. And take care of yourself every single day. Check in with yourself throughout the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Find what's something that you love and just keep on doing it. I tell my daughters that all the time. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. If it's something that you love, we'll support you 100%.
And every day, find a positive thing. We can get stuck on the negative. And I think I'm going to have a whole session on being stuck in the negative.
Oh, please. That is, that's a great way to end this, because that's a business killer. I have so many people contact me, and they'll say, I wish you had done this, 6 months or a year ago before I made a decision. I said, well, this is my decision. It doesn't mean it's your decision. However, if you're afraid to get in business for any reason, whatever it is, it may be something that you just happened to you in the past. You have to learn to trust again. You have to learn to love again. And you have to find the people that are working around with you that you see are doing well in business. That's a good indicator that you'll be with the right people.
You know what? I think I might do next session. It's the last Wednesday of the month is when we're going to do this again. And I might do stuck on the negative. We are ingrained to do that. And again, I have a great caveman presentation on why that happens. Okay. And then we'll talk about some thought changing some things. So again, if you guys have topics for me, throw them out there. You could send them to Gene. He'll forward them to me, and we'll kind of come up with a schedule for doing some of this. But we're just jumping off with anxiety because it's so prevalent. It came up this week, and Simone had the strength to say, I'm suffering, and we should embrace her for that. So I'm just going to kind of go from topic to topic, and I'm so happy you guys tuned in.
I think this was a real good idea, a great show. I know there's a lot of people that haven't seen it yet, and they probably will watch it and probably learn from it, which is what we want. We also want them to like it and share it.
Right.
And when it's on the YouTube page, like it and share it. Also, it should be on Mobfee TV. That's the production company that I'm working with now that will be on August the 5th. You'll be able to talk to them. I might be a co-producer on a show called Grand Jury. That is another exciting thing, in business that, when you get these, Randie, when these things come at you, and I'm like, bring them on. I don't push anything away unless it's so stupid or so crazy or so expensive, that if it's something free for me, if it's just going to take my time and my devotion and my love, then I have no problem doing it for helping somebody else. I don't. But if it's going to enhance the business that I created and enhance the people around me and bring more people to us, then it's a yes all the time.
Yeah. And if you send me those links, I'll put them on my Facebook page too. And
I sent it to you. I sent it to you on Facebook.
Okay.
I sent you the information, our show here. You're talking about the links for what?
Roku, where they can find all that information.
Roku, yeah, I can send you the Roku information.
Right.
I recently just got a IMDb page for acting in a couple things. So, I mean, again, these things are little steps, and the bigger goal here is to attract more business-like people around me, people that aren't, people that worry about $1, $2. No, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about people that are wealthy Americans, wealthy people all over the world. And just like I met with the Prince that one time that came to our studio, he said, whatever you got, bring it to me. And that's what I say, whatever you got. I said to the universe, whatever you got, bring it to me. Mm-hmm. I'm ready for it. This is my time. This is our time. This is our time to create everything that we wanted to create, whether it's music, lyrics, radio, TV, whatever. This is the perfect time for us. It really is. And I'm going to try to make it easy for everybody by not charging them a lot or discounting them or not charging them at all. Where some people say, oh, you shouldn't do that. I said, well, that's my choice. It's like you playing a free concert, right? You play the free concert for the venue. You're playing it for your music exposure and hoping that maybe people buy CDs and like your music.
Right, merchandise.
With me, it doesn't always have to be a money transaction. There could be a lot of value in there that nobody else sees that I see. So let me make that decision, okay? But Randie, thank you for joining us. What a great show.
Yeah, I think we're off to a great start. I had so much fun doing it. And again, keep those questions coming. And we'll see you again at the end of August.
Absolutely. And I'll see you August the 5th.
Right.
On the show. I'll send you the link and the Zoom show. And again, we're going to ask everybody to mute their mics and hopefully we'll have a good time on that and meet a lot more new people, production companies, people, TV people, and a lot of people that said they're coming. We sure hope they come. So we'll see.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
Night.
Thank you, everybody, for listening on the radio as well.